Hey, Liz.
Got it.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic this morning.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. It's nice to see you. Your office looks really nice.
Thanks. I'm almost completely unpacked, so we're getting there.
It's great. It's really
Thanks.
good.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited about today's topic because we decided to talk about this when I was driving around town, actually, here in Corvallis, and all the students come in because we live in a college town. So all the students come in, and all of a sudden there's all these like super fancy cars
Yes.
that the students drive, right? And I was like, there's so much money. And I was thinking about it. I was like, dang, like there's just so much money. And it actually reminded me of the conversation that I had with Soraya over the summer. So for those of you that didn't see that interview with our keynote speaker, Soraya Shmali, she and I ended up talking about how women, when they apply for home loans, they diminish their salaries and they write that they make less money, and then men embellish their salaries, right? And so when they're applying for loans, that women tend to dim their shine and men compensate when it comes to money. And she and I were talking about the patriarchal structure of scarcity and that shame-based idea that women are not allowed to have wealth. And I was like, it just strikes me, Liz, that there's so much money.
Yeah, I'm reminded every day because we're in Oregon, when I drive on I-5, the amount of people on the West Coast, the constant flow of individuals who are not sitting at their desk or in their houses or running to the grocery store, just the amount of people on I-5. When I think about just those people traveling every day at any given moment when I'm on the road, those people own houses, they pay rent, they buy cars, they consume just like everybody does. And the billions of dollars of commerce that happens every day, the billions of dollars of money that's being passed here and there. It's complicated, right? Like who gets the piece of that, who's spending and who's really gaining from all that. But the one thing we can do is we can look around and see there's a lot of money in this country. There's a lot of money outside the country. And for some reason, I feel like we're all like fighting for this $1. I think people feel like that, right? And that's just not the reality. And so often we have to remind ourselves we're not all fighting for the same dollar. We're not competing. There is enough for all of us. We just got to put our head down and work. That's it.
How do you think that that's reflected in the mortgage industry? Like, how do you think this idea of scarcity reflects itself in, like, how do you see that coming across with people who are applying for loans, for example, or over time, as you've seen people like purchasing homes and buying homes? How has that scarcity played out when you are dealing with loan applicants, especially women?
So I haven't seen women diminish their income personally, but part of that is because we have to verify it. So even if they try to diminish it, I haven't noticed it, but correcting their income because we use gross income and not net income. And oftentimes people will just give net income. I do feel like people grasp onto the purchases and the homes that they buy as if this is the only opportunity they will ever have to buy a house. There is a desperation in the purchase most of the time. And I often wonder if people realize that your initial house really is just like entry-level drug for investment homes, right? Like it is the stepping point for more. That is your first step you make to build equity while you sleep, and to have additional tax write-offs. And it opens that door to what a lot of W-2 borrowers have as their only option for tax deductions and what is that called? Possible it's that income that, I forget the term, the income that happens while you sleep that you don't actually have to do anything for.
Passive income.
Passive income. Thank you.
Yeah.
Brain cramp.
That's okay. It's early. It's still
yeah.
early, Liz.
I always try and encourage women, especially all people, but women especially, that home ownership is oftentimes just your first step to a lot of good stuff, right? So, sorry, I have somebody at my door. So that I see a lot. And so I think that we have to encourage them to think further than that, because that's all our parents talked to us about, was owning that primary house. So we just got to expand their.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I think we're still falling into this very old fashioned mindset that you buy a home.
Yep.
And that is the home that you have for the rest of your life, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And how do you feel like mortgage lenders, like particularly women in mortgage, can help to change the dialogue around, like, how can you encourage your clients to start thinking about building wealth differently?
So personally, I always talk about what I wish I knew when I was young and I bought my first home. I usually, it's like the start of that conversation. If I wish somebody would have told me this, and usually what I wish people would have told me was to buy a duplex rather than a single family house as my first purchase, right? Mm-hmm. But we have in our heads, this is the other side of it. We have in our heads this picture of how making it looks. Mm. And when I was young, it was a 2-car garage. It was a 3-bedroom house, a couple of kids, a husband that coached softball or little league, right? Like that was my middle income white family version of I've made it in America, is when I had that. Mm-hmm. And what I like to say is you can still have that if you really want it, but let's not start there. This feeling that we need to start there is also the thing that drives us to get too expensive of cars, to buy name brand stuff so that people can see we have this need to project success. So mm-hmm. I always try and say, let's bring it back. You got lots of time for that. You got lots of time for that. Let's get you let's look at some other ways that you can have some passive income so that you can have more when you retire or more when you're ready, or maybe you just don't have to work as hard someday. So
I think it's also, I feel like we really need to have a really interesting dialogue about what happens when you buy your first home. You know, I remember buying my first home in 1996, and we spent $110,000 on it.
Yeah, 130 for
mine. We put $10,000 down, and we got that from my ex-husband's parents and my grandparents. Like they each gave us $5,000 to do that, right? And he sold that house for like $647,000 because he held onto it all the way until 2008 or whatever it was. And of course, he was so damn frugal that he had that house paid off in like 4 years, right? Like after I left and he paid me half my equity, I was like, see you later, alligator. But I look back at the homes that I have owned, and I have owned homes that I could afford, and I have owned homes that I could not afford. And I find it so interesting that I was so ready to give up those places when it became difficult to pay for them. And I wish I would have had someone doing my loans who would have said to me, hey, maybe you sell this and get into a duplex, get into something that can earn you passive income. Maybe you get a smaller house that has a mother-in-law apartment in it, right? Like, where are we missing this conversation that there's plenty of money and there's more than enough to go around?
Oh, I can tell you where we're missing it. And we're missing it because we're not taking enough time with our clients. We bought and paid for all of the speakers and the programs that have said, this is how you get business. This is how much time you time block for each client. This is how you talk to them. This is what you do. And we've structured it in a way that we've taken the human element out of it. And we need to encourage more in-depth conversation. What's going on in our clients' lives? How are they feeling? What are their goals? What do they want to do? Right? Like, then we can figure out if they're capable of it. Now, some people, that's a hard concept to go from single family to duplex, and all that fun stuff. But sometimes it just takes 3 more conversations instead of 1. And we don't get paid for those conversations, right? We're commissioned employees, but we still need to have those conversations.
I think it's really important what you just said, though, that you've got people at your conferences and people on stage and people doing your trainings who are saying that's not how we roll.
No, I think when you, and I think women like this part of this business too, and they are pulled towards really loving their clients, right? And loving the interaction and the conversation and being involved. There's some women that don't, right? They're transactional and they have a really very masculine energy. They want to get in and they want to get out, and that's fine. But I think I have a great example. The woman that got me in the business, Kathleen, this was in Grants Pass, Oregon, early 2000s. I had her do my mom's loan, and I was a brand new loan officer. And Kathleen was an A-type personality. She was busy. She was getting stuff done. She had checklists. She was moving on to the next thing, and she was amazing. She's gone now, unfortunately, but she's amazing. And I gave her my mom. Now, Missy, you know my mom. My friends have called her Mrs. Claus, right? I think she's 4'10" now, and she's probably as round as she is tall, and she bakes everybody cookies and feeds you because that's love. And my mom wanted to visit with Kathleen. Kathleen thought the conversation was done and hung up on her. Now, it was my mom, thank God. And my mom's like, oh, silly Kathleen. She was in a hurry, right? Like, that was so funny that happened. But I want us to just take a moment, because Kathleen was a phenomenal loan officer and she did great business and she was an awesome mentor. But she was so busy checking the box and doing what she needed to do, she didn't realize her client wasn't done talking. She literally hung up on her. Yeah. Now, that's an extreme case, but that's a really direct example about just after you're done giving the needs list, after you're done talking about the conditions, say, hey, how's your day going? Anything else you want to talk about? Yeah. Because that's when you really learn about people and you find out what their dreams and goals are. So. And that's how you find out how to get them out of a scarcity mindset and help them understand that there's more than enough to go around. Like, there is more than enough to go around. Yeah, because the energy of hurrying through an application and moving through and just doing the job and going from part A to part B probably feeds into that scarcity mindset. So that sense of urgency, because the tone is just moving, quick, we need this. And I would argue that realtors do that too. Sometimes there are places we would rather be, but we need to sit with our clients. It's really fascinating to me how much things have changed in the mortgage and real estate industry since I bought that little house. It wasn't actually that little, but that house, 1411 East Logan Avenue. I still remember the address, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84105. Like, I don't remember my first house address. Isn't that funny? But it's just really remarkable to me how much things have changed since the 90s. I just think it's also this push and shove and move and go, and it's got to happen fast. And, it's happening all over, but I'm watching it here in Oregon. And I just think it's so, like, this is a tender time for some people who are looking for, and maybe it is because so many people are looking for their quote unquote forever home, but it's such a tender time for people to take the risk to buy real estate. You had this experience recently, this weekend. So let's talk about that. I got this call and you said, my lender's not getting back to me and I need the pre-approval letter. And was it Friday night or Saturday? I don't remember. It was Friday. It was after hours. Yeah. And I said, your realtor could submit the offer because it's the weekend and give the pre-approval letter on Monday. Like, this expectation that we get carried up in, that everything has to happen now. Like I listen, I said this to Brianna, because the same thing in DC, right? Like nobody we're not dealing with people that just got in a car accident and have a pole through their neck. Yeah. Right? Like, let's put this in perspective.
Yeah.
Your loan officer and your realtor get to not call you back immediately. And we loan officers and realtors sometimes get to step away.
Yeah. Like, take a break.
It's just a concept.
It's so fascinating to me too, because I feel like sometimes real estate brokers feed into this urgency, and mortgage lenders feed into this urgency that we've got to do it right now.
It's scarcity because there may be another offer that comes in and sweeps underneath, and we only have this one house and it's only this opportunity, and somebody's got to respond right now. And what are we going to do?
And that's why people
snowballs.
That's why people end up in these bidding wars where people are offering $100,000 over cash.
Yeah, well, like, there's a shortage too, but you're right. Like, we're not helping the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there is a shortage. And this idea that there is not enough, that there's a finite number of dollars. It's so damaging. It's so insidious. So I'm really glad we're doing this conference, because I really hope that it completely shifts the way that people are talking about money.
Yes.
And that there is always enough, right? Like that there is always enough. Yeah. Speaking of our conference, tickets are selling like bananas hotcakes.
I know. I'm super excited. This is such a dream of mine, and I'm so grateful that this is coming together and that people are buying tickets. But we have great speakers. Like, I feel like I am not worthy. I'm not worthy.
I'm looking at that stage and I'm going, oh, it's so diverse.
Yeah,
it's all women.
Mm-hmm.
It's so diverse, and I don't think there's another stage like that in the mortgage industry, honestly.
I haven't seen it. And that's really what our goal was about. It wasn't about the same old conference that you've been to a million times. I want you to be excited. Those conferences get you excited and get you motivated. You always come back and work. But I wanted to be different. I wanted to dip into your soul a little bit and your heart. And I want you to think a little bit more about what you're doing.
Yeah, I think we're really pushing the envelope on disrupting the way we think about money in the mortgage industry. I'm just thrilled. I'm so excited about the speakers.
Me too.
And the conference. And so people, buy your tickets. Like, this is the thing. There's an early bird price right now, and the ticket price will go up in February. It's online, so you can show up in your pajamas. There's speed networking. It's going to be super amazing. You're still going to connect with people like you would at a regular conference. It's just all virtual. So, it's going to be really incredible. The speakers are phenomenal. You can see the lineup on the website, and we're just really excited. So get your tickets. $147. Like, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with me today, Liz. It's nice to see you.
Hope everybody has a great morning.
Me too. Y'all have a great day.